Hi everyone, my name is Kim Oninania and this is my presentation on how relationships with your siblings as a child lead to happiness in adulthood. These are the contents of my presentation. First, I have my thesis, which is healthy relationships with siblings as a child lead to happiness as an adult. I will show you guys supporting evidence, which includes how siblings dictate your ability to interact socially, and they are also role models for your future. There is also limitations to my research because age, gender, and order can affect the happiness from a sibling relationship. Then I will conclude with the fact that my thesis still stands despite these limitations. Before we start, I want to let you guys know my research is not in support for the label we know as only child syndrome. This is a label we use to associate negative personality traits such as selfishness to people who grew up without siblings. It has absolutely no empirical data to support it, and it's just a social theory. What does have support is how the presence of siblings can lower those socially undesirable traits that we all have. Your childhood is a major pillar in how you navigate emotions, like happiness. And your relationship with siblings is a huge component of your childhood. This is why I believe your relationship with siblings affects your happiness as an adult due to their connection with your childhood. As we all remember, we learned about happiness in Lou Bermersky's book. I like to define it as the feeling of content. An incredibly important way of protecting that happiness is nurturing social interactions. Techniques of this include communication and emotional regulation. Your relationship with your sibling allows you to practice these. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't learn how to express myself as a child from my parents. It was through the numerous interactions with my siblings, whether negative, such as arguments, or positives, like learning a new hobby. These sibling relationships teach you how to socially interact, and this is carried into your adulthood. Another way your relationship with siblings leads to happiness is through granting you self discovery before reaching adulthood. A big reason why many adults feel unhappy is because they are unsure of their direction and self. I believe siblings are role models that assist you because they walked a similar path as you. Many hardships as a child range from familial to educational, and more so often than not, your siblings tend to encounter those in a similar way as you. This means you may have the chances of facing the same challenges and even successes. I also think this is why boys who grew up with older brothers tend to be happier than any other group of boys, according to research done by Sang and Nelson. By observing the way your sibling navigates their path, you gain inspiration for your own, leading you to a better chance of self discovery than if you were to walk that path alone. Despite how sibling relationships can increase happiness, there are also many variables that can counter my claim. Siblings farther in age can have less social interactions and not be able to relate. I honestly wish it wasn't the case, but gender may also play a factor in your ability to use your sibling as a role model or even just to relate to them. Finally, your order in your siblings can affect your ability to find happiness because, according to an experiment done by Lawson and Mace, the older you are in the order of your siblings, the worse your mental health. This likely shows my personal bias of choosing this topic because I am the second youngest out of five, so I may see sibling relationships in a different light than my older siblings. Despite these limitations, I still believe my thesis stands, as none of these groups were compared to children who grew up without siblings, so it doesn't refute my claim, it just shows that there are limitations to my claim. In conclusion, the presence of healthy relationships with siblings during childhood aid in your ability to be happy as an adult. These relationships teach you how to nurture social relationships as an adult, which is a major how of happiness. Siblings also can be role models in terms of you finding yourself. However, it is important for this research to note that there are limitations to the thesis, because many variables of sibling relationships like age and order can affect happiness in a negative way. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you were all able to take something out of it. These are references I cited just in case any of you guys wanted to take a look at the experiments.